Lindsay. I'm so excited to bring your positive energy to the conversation today, so welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to be chatting with you.
Thanks for coming on. I've done 3 of these in a row now where I interview people in person, and I'm absolutely loving forming connections with people through this podcast, especially ones where I get to connect with people in person through conversation. And I feel almost like by having these conversations that I'm maybe moving more into purpose and true alignment with self. You're a person that loves human connection, as well as your career is centered around creating connections between brands, people, and the media. How did you choose the path of working in PR, and how do you feel it aligns with your purpose?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on this podcast. When I first saw that you were doing it, I lit up and was so excited and impressed with your intentionality and your go-get-it attitude and resilience, and how you are creating what you want in your life. I chose the path working in PR. It started really for my passion for entertainment. As a young girl, I was always just consumed by the entertainment world, Entertainment Tonight, People Magazine. I would consume it all the time. And truly, I really wanted to move to LA and get into the world of entertainment when I was in college and even in high school. But I kind of made an easy move, which was connecting to a city that was closest to where I went to school, which was San Francisco at the time. And when 9/11 hit, I was up there for 2 years. I realized, what am I doing? I feel like a fish swimming in a fishbowl in a circle, and life could end tomorrow. Why am I not chasing that dream? So I didn't really know what aspects of entertainment I wanted to get into. But the more I sort of learned about the different business verticals within the industry, I immediately identified and connected with PR. And PR is really creating stories. You're a storyteller about a brand, a TV show, a movie, a personality, an executive, and telling those stories to the world through earned media. My purpose is to elevate voices and to elevate brands. I really connect to my purpose of being a publicist. To me, it's all about the human connections and the relationships forming. It's my favorite part of the job. And through these interpersonal connections and deeply personal connections that you make with people, you really start to hone in and understand and learn more about their story. Whether it's a brand story, whether it's a person story, we all have a story.
Right.
So for me, it really brings me joy when I work with, big brands and small brands, big personalities and little personalities, like myself, yourself, and help find, a way to connect to culture, a way to connect to other people within humanity, because we're losing that along the way.
Absolutely. It's so important to have connections. Like I said, I love reconnecting through this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And you started in corporate, sort of a corporate entertainment world, and now you've branched out and doing your own PR business.
Yes.
What did you set out to accomplish with that?
Truly, what I set out to accomplish with it was joy. And I think along the way, working in corporate America, I lost my joy and the happiness of what this job brings me, because I was too consumed with, the intricacies that come with working in a corporation that's big. Those other jobs that preceded Elevate really prepared me for Elevate. I would not be here or have my own business had it not been for those previous experiences. But for me, the experience of forming my own company has really brought me back to what I love about PR and communications, which is storytelling, which is the strategy piece, which is the connections. And sometimes, and I'm not here poo-pooing corporate America, but sometimes, you're made to feel like you're one of many, and you don't really always feel your value or what you bring to the business, especially when it's a big business. When it's a smaller business, you feel yourself moving the business. You feel yourself moving and improving people's lives. That brings meaning and purpose to me. So yeah, that's sort of what was the purpose of me moving into forming Elevate,
and doing your own thing, right?
And doing my own thing. And truly what it's done is brought me joy every single day. And it's not that it's easier. It's not easier, but it's personally fulfilling and it's empowering. When you know that your livelihood is dependent upon yourself, it's the best feeling in the world.
What about your company brings you joy? I mean, what about it brings you joy? What creates the joy?
What creates the joy? I mean, every day is different. And what has brought me joy has been working with all sorts of different types of clients. I mean, my background is predominantly in entertainment, and I know that really well, although the business is changing substantially. But what brings me joy is learning, it's growth, it's what I don't know. And that's a big deal for me because for so long I used to shrink when it came to what I don't know. I used to freeze when it came to what I don't know. I used to be scared. And
we all are. I mean,
yeah.
I think we're all scared we stay in that comfort zone. And then it's when we take that leap to try something is when we really see results, right?
Yeah, it is. And when you can get on the other side of fear, it is like you realize you begin living again in a real way. I mean, when we're younger, we don't really have that many fears, or at least when I was younger. I'm not going to speak for everybody else, but you're kind of going through life. You have a house put over your head, you have food put on the table if you're so fortunate, and you go to school. There's a routine, and then you go to college where you're a little bit more independent, and then you kind of form your own life. But then you leave that world, and then it's sort of this big world that you can create, or you can allow it to be created for you. And I think that has been such a big theme in my life, is overcoming fear and realizing what happens when I don't let it be in the driver's seat, when it's in the trunk. And when it's in the trunk, I'm doing things, I'm living. I'm not just existing, I'm living. And that is the best feeling. Now for me, I'm not here to preach, be a preacher. I have setbacks all the time. But it's what makes me human. And it also brings me back in touch with, that used to be a norm for me. It used to feel normal. And now this is, when I do have those setbacks, it doesn't feel as normal and it feels more uncomfortable.
And it's almost like training a pattern, right? You follow a pattern and then you get more comfortable as you keep following that pattern of it becomes more comfortable as you start taking risks and facing your fears.
Right.
Yeah. So your company is called Elevate. Why did you name it Elevate, and what does that word mean to you?
So it's funny, when I was thinking about names, I thought about just calling it Lindsay Colker PR. And I thought about it and kind of farmed for feedback from colleagues that I respect. And it didn't necessarily resonate. If you don't know who I am, it's not necessarily going to resonate, right? We all though have brands. So whatever my brand was before forming Elevate, it is a part of my brand. But, in thinking about what I do and what we do as publicists, we're looking to uplift people, bring people up out into the world and tell their story, drive visibility around their brand, help increase sales, right? And goodwill. And for me, Elevate is exactly what I'm doing. I'm building a plan. I'm invested in my clients. I'm an ambassador for them, and I'm an extension of them. And I'm here to elevate them. And so I'm very happy with the name Elevate Communications. It definitely is the perfect descriptor for what I do, what I set out to do, and what my brand is.
And you're also elevating your fears, going back to facing fears, overcome challenges, going after joy. You're elevating your life and your experience.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
That's such a great point. Like, in addition to, I don't think you can be good at what you do unless you really find joy in it. I mean, that's probably, there may be a lot of people that disagree with that, but sometimes, like I said, you lose the joy of what you're doing and then you become like a robot or on autopilot. Mm-hmm. But in order to be good at what you do, you really have to want to live and breathe it. And for me, I connected to this career for as long as I can remember and created it. And there really is something about manifestation. I mean, before I even knew what manifestation was, I visualized it. There was something like that happened to me that was like, I have this visualization, I remember this, of walking on the Paramount lot. I don't know where it came from, but that's where I started my career in entertainment, was at Paramount Studios.
Before you worked there, you had the visualization.
Yes, and I realized that, a little while into my career there, and when I was working there, that I had this like, this has come to me before. So I really believe that, what we want, just like this podcast, you can create what you put your mind to and you set your heart to, but you got to love it, and you will spend hours doing it, and it doesn't matter. And it's because it brings you joy.
And you won't necessarily know that it brings you joy and you love to do it until you try it.
That's right.
You may not know that you love it or hate it until you try it. You just have to try it, start it.
It's so true, because, and even if you don't, I remembered having conversations with friends who maybe they're moving. They're like, I'm leaving LA, or I'm leaving San Francisco, or wherever I am, or I'm going to try this new job. The reality is, if you don't like where you move, you can always come back. If you don't like this new job, you can always change back. And that's actually what I felt when I left Sony and went to Netflix, which is, I know how to do TV publicity. This is something different. Doing streaming publicity had never been done before. If it doesn't work, or if I don't connect with it, I can always go back to doing what I'm doing. But it really has to inherently and authentically, you have to feel it. You have to really feel that in order for it to happen. Sometimes, like with the law of attraction, it's like, if you talk about it and you visualize it, it'll come. But you have to really feel it with all your being. So, and I would say that, on this topic, it's also about failures, right? We are not our failures. Our failures teach us so much. So like, if you feel that you went and tried a new job and it didn't work for you, that's not a failure. Like, that's just an experience. That's just something that's making you realize what you want or what you don't want. It's just, so I just think we're having to retrain ourselves to think differently in today's world, and we're being given the opportunity to do that because there's more conversation around it.
Totally. Learning from mistakes too.
Yeah.
And I do believe, going on manifestation, that the universe puts certain people on our path, right? I mean, I know we've connected a number of times. We met years ago. Then we reconnected around the time of my book, and I remember when I launched the book, I talked to you just for advice around PR and how to promote the book and how to do the book launch. And I remember hanging up. Your energy was just exuding out of the phone. It was incredible. And I feel like you're a person that lives your authenticity. How do you feel your authenticity plays? What kind of role does it play in growing your client base and also promoting those brands and clients?
God, such good questions. Well, first of all, thank you. It's so flattering. I'm learning to accept compliments more, and it's flattering to know that I have that impact on you. I hear that from people, and it makes me feel really good. Yeah, it's definitely, in terms of growing my client base, you can't fake passion. You can't fake, you can fake anything. We live in a world of actors and actresses, and there is the quote, fake it till you make it, which I actually really believe in. But, as your own business owner, you have the choice to choose who you work with and who you don't work with, and what products and brands you believe in and you don't believe in. So for me, expanding my client base has really, and my authenticity has really connected with expanding my client base, because when I'm truly authentic and passionate about something or someone, I'm putting a really, really good plan and idea together. I think people can see the passion, even if maybe I don't fully understand the business, they can see that I'm going to like study it. I'm going to, I'm going to become a consumer of it. Not all brands that come in, incoming are well-known brands. Not all products are well-known products. They're looking to get to that place. That's why they come to a place like Elevate, right? So I think they connect with like my curiosity, because that's who I am. I'm authentically curious about, this is really interesting, like the more I get to know something. And then I think, to answer the second part of your question, like once I get into something, I'm like in it. And I truly am. I mean, I remember working on TV shows that I wasn't really that into, but I brainwashed myself to be into them, because like those were the shows that I was assigned, and I got into them. So I think when you really find yourself digging something and living and breathing it, you're walking through walls for that client. You're living and breathing that client. You're dreaming about that client. And your livelihood is their livelihood. So I get a lot of pleasure out of, I'm a one-woman show. And so the accountability starts and stops with me. And I derive so much joy and purpose when I bring them joy and purpose, when I make them feel like their investment is worth it. And so, I've worked at places where you have to posture and be a certain way and dress a certain way, and you say what you're supposed to say, and you don't speak up too much. And I'm really glad I had those experiences, but I'm also really glad now that I'm in a place where people are turning to me for my point of view. They're also, okay if I'm vulnerable and humble and say, actually, that's a great question. I need to study that and learn more about it. And so I feel good about, being the authentic person I am in this stage in my life, being very colorful, being very, just like having fun with my own brand and my own self, and like working my butt off for my clients.
I love that you're so colorful, and it's about being intentional, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you focus a lot of your energy, both personally and professionally, on being intentional and doing things that light you up. How do you get really clear on what brings you joy and what lights you up about the work that you do?
How do I get clear about what lights me up? I think that I've had to quiet myself. I think there's a lot of busyness and clutter that fills our lives. And I think it's easy to find yourself, fluttering within all that clutter, right? And for me, it's those moments of calm. It's those moments of solitude. It's coming home and not being on the phone. It's not reading emails. It's not watching TV, or even if I am watching TV, just watch TV. It's things like that that's where I get really clear about my intentionality and what brings me joy.
Being present.
And that's hard. That's been really, really hard for me. I think it's hard for a lot of people in this day and age, but I'm finding that the more present I am, the more I feel less anxious. And I'm working on this because it's been something that I haven't realized has made me feel a little bit frenetic, like being constantly consumed by social media, by all of the breaking news alerts, by whatever's happening in the day, all the fear-based stuff. So it's really kind of getting to a place of solitude, silence. So that makes it really clear.
What advice do you have for someone who is looking to promote their passion project? Where should they start, and what should they focus on?
To promote their passion project, that's a great question. So if somebody was looking to engage Elevate, or just somebody like you who's looking to a passion project like your cookbook.
They have a book, or they have a film, or they have a project they want to put out there in the world. They don't know where to start, but they want to promote it. They've created something and they want to promote it.
Yeah.
Like you said,
So where to start?
yeah.
I think it starts from like the basics. It's literally just starting with, because I think what happens, at least for me, is I can get very like anxious about, I want to get to here, but what do I do all these other steps to get me there? And so I have learned to focus on one thing at a time. When I'm on the tennis court, and a little bit about me, I played tennis all through college on a scholarship, and like I still play now and I love it. And one of the analogies I love to use is, I find myself getting ahead of the score every time I'm playing, whether it's singles or doubles. Okay, we're down 40-15. I'm up, 5-3, but I'm down 30-40. Well, the more I think about that, and I'm not thinking about the thing I need to do to get to the win, I'm screwing myself because I'm not focusing on the now. So the now is one shot at a time. Make your shots great every single time, okay? So when I think about when you're starting a project, a passion project, something you really want to do that you're excited about, that you want to start to promote, it's like, first it's like putting pen to paper, putting your thoughts down, having a vision to be able to share with somebody about what is your mission, what is your vision, how is this content, how is this product, how am I going to be bringing value, what's the differentiator? It's kind of thinking through all those things, and then it's talking to people. I think I learned so much by just talking to people and asking questions. You learn a lot by asking questions, by being curious. You're self-taught in a lot of ways, Googling and finding things out. So it's, and then it's connecting with people that you can trust that are going to take care of you. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that say, I'll make this happen for you, I'll make that happen for you. And, I'm not that type of, I don't do that from my perspective. I come from a place of confidence where it's like, this is what we're going to do, and this is what I believe is going to be the key to success. But from an earned media perspective, you can never guarantee anything. Mm-hmm. That's why you pay for a publicist to earn the media for you. If you want to guarantee an impression or a placement, you pay for an ad, right? So yeah, it's kind of getting your ducks in a row first, and then connecting with people and asking the questions and finding the people that you trust that are going to feel as invested in you and your product and your brand and your service as you are.
It goes back to finding the joy, right? What brings you joy? What lights you up? What image do you want to portray about yourself? Because it's about elevating brands, like you said, brands that are promoting projects. So how is the project related to the person behind it?
Right.
And how do I want to relate to people that I want to face with the project?
That's right. And I think too, there's a lot of people that put on a good act out there. And I think all of us, when you're going for a job interview, you don't just let them interview you interview them. Right. What's your culture like? What would you ask these questions that determine whether you feel that the company is a fit for you. And the same thing should happen when anybody's looking to engage anybody to help support their brand, whether it's like help build my website or my Instagram or my PR or my whatever it is, my marketing plan. You're interviewing them and determining if it feels like the right fit. And I also think that also goes back to like intuition. Do you intuitively feel like this person's right for you and connecting with them?
It's hard to connect with yourself. Like you said, how do you do that? How do you get clear on your intuition? Is it being present and really focusing on, okay, what do I want to do in this moment?
Yeah, and I think it's hard. I think like even sitting here and you asking me these questions, it's not always comfortable to have to really think about myself. I've had to do it a lot more since starting Elevate. It has forced me to. It's been the forcing function. And I actually feel that had it not been for Elevate, I wouldn't be thinking about what brings me joy, what are the components to building a successful brand. Like I've had to do the thinking for me. And so it's not easy, but it's actually really valuable work when you have to sit and think and be calm and you get real clear.
And what is, I think, helps the driving force is being passionate about what you're doing, who you are, what you want to portray to the world. How does passion fuel your life? And what advice do you have for someone looking to find theirs?
God, that's such a good question. How does passion fuel my life? Well, first of all, I just connect with it. Like, I'm no longer hitting pause on anything that brings me joy. I think for a long time, I sort of muted what brought me passion because I felt like it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, right? There was like this idea of what I thought, or if I wanted to get ahead, this is what I needed to be versus this other part of me. So the question was, how do I connect with my passion? Is that right?
How does passion fuel your life? So how does it fuel your business? And what advice do you have for someone looking to find theirs?
It fuels my life in every day. I mean, from like waking up and being happy that I don't know what today's gonna bring. It's, truly I think passion is a mindset. It's waking up and being grateful. It's waking up and being excited to take on the unknown. It's waking up and thinking about the things that bring me joy versus thinking about the things that drive me nuts, versus thinking about what could go wrong. So I think that's the first part, is connecting with those positive thoughts.
Going back to joy again.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that my, recommendation for people on how to find it is to let all the barriers down. Like, to not let these ideas of what you should or could or would just do, just go for it. I think, we were talking earlier before we started recording about just color. Color brings me joy. And I find myself gravitating towards color, like anything rainbow, anything colorful. And it's crazy what something like a rainbow does for me. I mean, when you look at my desk, I've got a rainbow light bulb, I've got a rainbow card with like jewels on it. My nails are rainbow. And so I think it's about like really connecting with what those passion points are and staying connected to it and staying like, just go for it and connect with those things. And the more you like attracts like. So when you see something you like, you see one rainbow, you start to see more rainbows. It's like on your Instagram, you start to follow something and something else. But it's true. You start to find, my Tesla's outside or my Honda Accord's out there. And then you're like, I'm interested in this car. And then all of a sudden you see more of them.
That's all you see.
I think that's a big part of how to connect with it, is to,
be intentional.
Yeah.
Be intentional.
Yeah.
And notice the synchronicities that come up.
You're so well spoken.
Right?
Exactly. And don't let anything hold you back. I think there's no reason why you cannot be connecting to what brings you joy and what your passion is. Don't let fear be in the driver's seat. Put it in the trunk, shut it, and don't visit with it.
Right.
That's my biggest lesson that I've, really learned over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. And well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Can you let everybody know how they can find you, follow you,
yes,
reach out to you if they want some help with their passion project?
Oh my gosh, yes, thank you for that. You can find me at elevateprco.com. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I think Instagram is elevate_comms. That's probably the best place to find me, is elevate_comms on my Instagram. And I have so much fun on my Instagram and put a lot of time and creativity into it and really want it to feel authentic to me. And I think it does.
It does. It's like literally watching rainbows and butterflies all day long, every day. I mean, your energy just exudes out of that. And that's what we eat up. That's what we want to surround ourselves with. We all want people that are looking for joy.
Thank you. I'm glad it brings it. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on.